Want a little extra spending money for your next trip? This is the video for you.
In it, we'll quickly and simply take you through the Tourist Refund Scheme, what you can claim and how you can claim it. Let's start with what it is. The TRS allows travellers departing from Australia to claim a refund on tax payable on eligible goods and services in Australia. This refund applies to the 10% government service tax, as well as the wine equalisation tax.
Despite its name, the Tourist Refund Scheme isn't just for tourists. Anyone can claim a GST refund. This includes Australian citizens and people travelling from abroad.
So if you live in Australia and are just going overseas for a holiday, you can still take advantage of this.
Not everything is covered though. Strap yourself in because this is quite a long list of criteria.
1. The purchase must be $300 or greater. This can be across several transactions as long as the total is over $300. And if the business has several stores or branches, like JB Hi-Fi for example, you can shop across multiple locations. As long as they all fall under the same ABN, the minimum spend can be achieved with multiple visits. You will need a tax invoice for each transaction though. If you spend over $1,000, the invoice must also include the identity of the buyer. Acceptable details include your full name, identical to your passport, or passport number. You may need to request that your information be added to the tax invoice at the time of purchase if you do intend to make a TRS claim when you leave Australia. 2. You must have paid for the goods or services yourself. 3. The purchase must be made no more than 60 days before your date of departure from Australia. Number 4, the original hard copy tax invoice needs to be presented. Duplicates or digital versions are usually not accepted, but for online purchases, you can print a copy of the invoice for presentation at the TRS counter. Number 5, the item you've claimed has to be with you as you board the plane. So that kind of rules out anything large like a new fridge or lounge suite.
It'll fit.
It is possible to claim a GST refund on some oversized items like golf clubs or surfboards, and stuff like liquids, aerosols or gels that can't be carried on board with you. However, they still have to be leaving the country with you, and they must be cited by an Australian Border Force official prior to check-in. Number 6, you can't claim a refund on goods or services purchased from a business or entity that isn't registered for GST or didn't have GST applied in the first place. In order to register, the entity needs an Australian business number, which should appear on the invoice you provide when making a claim. If the business doesn't have an ABN or it's not visible on the invoice, you're out of luck. 7, you can't retrospectively claim your GST refund. You must do it as you're leaving the country. You also must do your refund at your final port of departure before leaving Australia. So for example, if your journey starts as a domestic leg, say from Adelaide to Sydney, you won't be able to make a TRS claim prior to your domestic flight. You'll have to wait for the leg that actually leaves the country. Finally, a duty-free limit or passenger concession applies to each passenger entering Australia. That's $900 for adults and $450 for children. Anything you've claimed under the TRS scheme will count towards this limit. So if you leave the country and then return with the product you use the TRS scheme on, you have to declare it. And if it's over that $900 Australian for adults, you have to pay the GST refund back. If you're traveling as a family, you can combine your passenger concessions. So for example, a family with 2 adults and 2 children could return with a single item worth up to 2,700 Australian dollars duty-free. There are also some items you can't claim a GST refund for. Services like accommodation, transport and car hire, dangerous goods, tobacco and tobacco products, alcohol, medication and medical aids, gift cards, and unaccompanied goods that are shipped or any goods that are not actually being carried on the plane with you. So, if you're sure you've ticked off all of those criteria, here's how you can begin making a claim. First, find out where to do it. Refunds can be claimed at the airport or seaport you're departing Australia from. The Australian Border Force lists the locations of TRS counters in airports across Australia. Many will have offices at a desk, but in some instances you may be required to use the secure TRS Dropbox facility instead of the physical counter. Providing you meet the criteria, your claim will still be processed, just at a later time. You'll need to drop all of your original invoices into an envelope and fill out a claim form with your details. There's a link below for more information on how to do that.
The GST refund can't be fully submitted online because you still need to present the goods for inspection to an Australian Border Force official. You'll also have to show them your passport and your boarding pass.
Luckily, you can complete your details online beforehand, so you can save some time at the refund counter. This method won't let you skip the queue, and it doesn't submit your claim. It just saves the officer from having to type up all your details when you present at the refund counter.
D.
03.
You can choose to put your details into either the My TRS Claim online portal or the TRS mobile app. These will ask you for your travel details, details of the goods you're claiming a refund for, and how you'll prefer to receive your GST refund. Credit card, Australian bank account, or mail check are all accepted. Once you've entered these details online, you'll be issued with a QR code.
There's a limit of 10 invoices per batch, so if you've got more than 10 items, you'll have to do a second form to generate a second QR code. Also, just note, if you're using the TRS Dropbox area, they don't accept QR codes, so you'll have to fill out the paper form anyway.
So, after all that, we've made it to the big day. It's time to leave Australia. Here's what you do. Bring your 1. Passport, 2. Boarding pass, 3. QR code if you entered your details online, 4. The original paper tax invoice, 5. The actual goods themselves.
If you're doing this, we'd suggest allowing plenty of time to clear immigration and prepare for long lines at the TRS service counter. After all, people love saving a bit of money.
If you're claiming a GST refund at an Australian airport, the claim must be made at least 30 minutes before your scheduled departure time. If you're departing on a cruise, you've got until 60 minutes before your scheduled departure.
And that's it, we made it. As long as your purchase meets that long list of criteria, you can go up to the desk, submit a claim, and pocket some savings towards your getaway.
Before you start this process, do refer to the Australian Border Force website for the absolute latest information about the TRS, and make sure to subscribe to Point Hacks for more guides that will help save you money while you travel.